Welcome everyone, I'm Chris Dobbin and welcome to another episode of Amplify Your Brand, our live stream on building powerful brands in today's digital landscape. Alongside my friend and fellow colleague and branding expert Simone there on the screen, we're here to share expertise and help you take your brand to the next level. So whether you're an entrepreneur, small business owner, a marketing professional, someone tinkering around with a personal brand, this webinar is packed with live stream is packed with practical insights and strategies to help you amplify your brand and stand out in the digital landscape. So please get ready, take some notes, and please take what we talk into action, because by the end of this live stream, we have a roadmap for building a brand that truly resonates with your target audience. So thank you again for joining us today. And let's find another way to amplify your brand. And we're going to go with the trend of talking about future-proofing a brand by introducing AI-branded tactics for unmatched amplification. So this is a topic that's pretty hot for 2023. It started trending in late 2022, but really became a thing this year. There was just phenomenal things that happened around AI. And for people in our industry and for businesses out there in general, it's kind of like when COVID hit, there's kind of two ways you react about this. You either go at it and just accept it for what it is and try and work out how you adapt to it, or you run scared and just go for a bomb shelter. The ones that go for the bomb shelter, we're hopefully by the end of this session going to convince you that that's not the way to go, that you should look at ways of embracing how the AI can help your brand move forward. But Sim, I know yourself, you've been out there in the trenches of social media with a few branding people who've just really said this is horrible what's going on, and you had opportunities to convince them maybe the other way is the way to go. But generally your thoughts on today's topic?
Well, I will talk about the introduction, not go through the whole thing, because social media conversations are long as the threads they are present in. But this is a moment of disruption for everybody watching this. You've probably realized this is one of those shifting moments. It's an industrial revolution in front of our eyes as we live and breathe and speak. And it's happening at the speed that was never the case. We don't know where the next big disruptor is going to come from, but with this comes great opportunity. And everybody who feels like they're being replaced by machines, please, please, please keep your mind open, because what we're about to discuss will probably put you in a different position and empower you to adapt and flow with this disruption, instead of resisting and condemn yourself to a faded into nothingness transition.
Yeah, cool. So anyway, we've got a limited time today, so we're going to get right into it. But before we do, we're just going to talk about that everything we touch on today leads back to the P8 branding program that we've developed over the last 20 years and upgrading our branding on identity framework, which encompasses 8 critical sections of branding, which we call the 8 Ps, and it's an easy to understand and implement program. So every business owner can amplify their brand. So please understand everything we talk about today is going to lead back to that. And today we're going to cover across all of them. So hence why each week we have color schemes that match up to what we're talking about. But this week we're going to go for the rainbow effect and we're going to get them all in. So let's get right into it. So AI is a way to transform your brand management by enabling personalized experiences, efficient data analysis for strategic decision making. It gives you a 24/7 customer engagement through intelligent chatbots. With these abilities, you can automate your content creation, monitor brand visuals, and conduct sentiment analysis. The AI ensures consistent and positive brand representation while fostering innovation. So if your brand is using AI to leverage the competitive edge, it can put and adapt to emerging technologies, and it can navigate the digital landscape with efficiency and customer centricity. Now, that is a lot to take in, but essentially that summarizes what we're talking about today, is that if you do take this on board, there are some things that you can just really enhance your brand experience. And it doesn't have to take away from things you're doing right now. It just enhances them, speeds them up, makes them more efficient, can just do things you just haven't been able to do before. Like these things that's what I get so excited about this topic today, is that you've dreamt these things, you've hoped for these things, you've wanted these things, had them. Now we literally have them in a way that they're science fiction movies, and they're not the Terminator style ones where people are coming back from the future to kill us all. It's right now and happening. And if you learn how to adapt to it, you can do some amazing things. So, I could talk all day about that, but let's get right into it. So the first one we're going to talk about, actually, I'll cover the topics, the 10 topics we're going to future-proof today. So we're going to talk personalization and customer experience. We're going to talk about how the efficient data analysis works. We're going to talk about 24/7 customer engagements, visual recognition and brand monitoring, the predictive analytics you get from it, which allow for strategic decision-making. We could talk about automated content creation. We touched on sentiment analysis for reputation, how it gives you a competitive edge in innovation, scalability and efficiency. And then we're going to finish off with the adaptability to emerging technologies. And that just leaves us with a bunch of things to talk about. But let's get right into the first one, personalization and customer experience. So AI, I'll just bring us into the screen there. AI allows for analysis of vast amounts of customer data. So this enables brands to create highly personalized experiences. So by understanding the individual's preferences and behaviors, brands can tailor the content to recommendations, interactions, leading to improved customer satisfaction and loyalty. So none of us love spam. None of us love receiving information that just is so not relevant to us. Now, we talked about disruption earlier. Yes, there is times when something pops into our feed and we go, oh, that's interesting. Oh, I will go look at that. But that decision was based on the fact that it had something relevant to me still. And I think that's where AI does some really clever things, where if you've shown an interest in a particular sport, a location, or a particular group, AI has some intelligence that allows us, as we would do with humans, we would go, you must be into these things as well. But it does it in a smarter way, or it does it in a way that's automated, where we as humans have to kind of guess and think about it and take time. Where this is doing it in just real time, which is the creative part of it, this process. So yourself, Sim, what are your thoughts?
Everything you said, and on top of it, reduce everything that is possible via the human experience, accelerated 100 times over. The possibilities that we have in front of us are so deep and so monumental that it takes us a while to catch up and understand what we can do. But make no mistake, we are still going to be the ones deciding, and this is a very important point to make. We're still going to make the decisions that educate AI. Think of AI as a perfect employee that doesn't complain. It's going to do what you need it to do. You just need to give it good instructions.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. So, shit in, shit out kind of thing. It's that kind of thing. So we'll talk about that. So basically, if you have that data, it excels at processing and analyzing that large data set quickly and accurately. Brands can leverage AI brand analytics to gain valuable insights into the market trends, consumer behaviors, and competitive landscape. So this data-driven approach enables you to make informed decisions, and those decision-making and strategic planning things can lead to a better outcome for the brand experience. So as we talked about, shit in, shit out, this sort of scenario, what we're saying here is that if you've got good data and you're creating data, you ask smart questions of the AI, you can get some really great responses for you then to take that on board and work out how your brand adapts to these things. We're going to touch on a lot more of that in some other topics we've got lined up for you. But this is a really, really interesting part about it is big data has been around for a long time in the sense of, even decades ago, even back in the days of tape, where the computers were in tape format. But to get the data out it was about how much you were smart at asking the right questions, get the right answers out and things like that. Because AI is becoming more like an extension of human interactions, we can ask human type questions of this AI and it is responding in a way that we'd hope a human might respond to us, but in a way that, I don't know, we all joke about that idea. If you could just, download some data and put it in your head and then become super intelligent. That's what this is, that sort of scenario where that AI has done that. And then you can ask your questions.
It's a quicker learning curve than ever before in history. And we have the ability to tap into amounts of information where we can almost be overwhelmed by that amount. Now, the trick is going to be to have a system to organize that trickling in of information. The data analysis that used to
Yeah,
be done by rooms of people, and by the way, those rooms of people jumped from doing it on paper to using Excel data sheets and all of this stuff, and in the software that compiles that information, which is magnificently accelerated today via AI. It doesn't replace the people. Decisions have to be made. We can just make them at a quicker pace.
that's right, exactly. And the key here is we're always saying the human is involved in this process. So now, we just talked about giving those personalized experiences to people, but then there's this 24/7 customer engagement with chatbots.
Yeah.
So AI chatbots and virtual assistants enable brands to provide around-the-clock customer support. These intelligent systems can handle routine inquiries, resolve issues. They can take the engagement with the customer in real time. They can enhance the overall customer experience by building a positive brand association. Now, that sounds like a lot. And we do know that there are some horror stories out there where the chatbot got it wrong. But that was, again, because of human error based on what the human did with the chatbot in the first place, right? So what we're talking about here is that you know your brand, you know what it's all about, you know its values, you've got a website where you've put maybe a whole bunch of content that is there, and by the time the client has to go through it and try and find it, this bot knows that information. So if it says things like, what's your phone number, it's going to be go, bang, there it is. If it's going to say, what services do you provide, it's going to be able to grab it and pull it over and do these things that, just, again, a human can do. But, 1 o'clock in the morning, do you want everyone up around, being there? Yep. No. So, having this bot that's there, and the bot doesn't care that it's 1 a.m. in the morning. It just wants to answer and help you. So it just does what it's been programmed to do. So there are plenty of examples, but and the reason why I'm excited about AI and brand is brand has like a bubble, a ground rules. It has foundational things that means it works a certain way. People are expecting, we talk about this every live stream, consistency, right? Yeah. And what AI will do is a consistent response based on what you've told it needs to do. So it will not, be like some humans do, is that they're having a bad day or a good day, whichever way you want to highlight it. And they decide to do it a certain way because they're a human, and that's how humans work. But the bot won't. It won't go outside those characteristics unless, of course, you program it to. But that's sort of, again, chaos theory, and I don't think that's what we're going to do when we're talking about this sort of stuff. So, I get really excited about the fact that if you've got a website right now for your brand and there's lots of inquiries coming in, how can you make those inquiries systemized so that the customer experience is, it's at my fingertips. I just have to type it, I get a response, and I'm happy to get the next step that I need to take. Now, that next step may be call a human or get a human involved, but you've taken out that first step where they haven't had anyone respond quickly, and it's done automatically, and they now know that the human's coming. So it's fantastic for all those kind of things. Let's keep moving along. So visual recognition and brand monitoring. AI can automatically detect and analyze elements associated with the brand, such as logos and images across various online platforms. The capability allows the brand to monitor their visual presence, ensuring consistent and positive representation across those diverse channels. So again, we are in a life where, and you and I deal with this every day, we do a campaign or brand, we've got, so things have to look this way on Facebook, Instagram's a little bit different, even though it's based on Facebook, and LinkedIn's got a different way it does things, and let's go YouTube, so and then bring in TikTok and a whole bunch of them, right? Twitter, whatever the case be. But the simple fact is all these formats have different formats, and AI, because it knows those things, it's getting so smart that it can take your initial graphic and adapt it to all those other mediums a lot quicker. Now, Sim, I know you love that process, but the simple fact is that it takes a fair bit of time and effort, and if that can be done in a second or less, and then you just quickly look over it and go, you know what, I'm right with that, or just a couple of tweaks here because that just isn't quite right. Use your eye to do it. That's a better process than opening up every single format, every single size file, and it just, because we find that tedious. That's the not the fun part of creative in the process we go through.
That's absolutely right. That's absolutely right. And it gets to a point where you want to get rid of the dead weight. And dead weight are tasks that are menial in character. This is exactly what you just mentioned. One piece of content can be adapted to 5 different platforms in a snap of a finger or a click of a button when things are in place for the machine to operate with those directions. And
That's right.
and again, this is happening. This is happening. We can just now regain the control by positioning ourselves in the master's chair and tell it to do something quicker in specific ways, and you're going to be able to serve better. That's the crux of it. The machine has many upsides and many downfalls. We can right now. This is the beginning, the infancy of the machine learning process, and we can in fact teach it to do very, very good things.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on to the next one, which is based on everything you just talked about, which is predictive analytics for strategic decisions. So AI-driven predictive analytics can forecast market trends, identify emerging opportunities, and maybe even predict a consumer's behavior. This empowers the brands to make the proactive and strategic decisions that optimize marketing campaigns, product launches, and just in the overall branding position. So Sim, like we know that like if you can see something happening that you kind of not sure what it is, AI, if you give it the right prompts or you give it the right things to look out for and bring it to your attention, like go look for this XYZ, and if you notice this, please email me or send me a message or text me or download blah, whatever it is. Like the fact is it can go off and do that, and you can do it every day, every second, every minute. And you can just choose again how often it comes in. You can say, look, just give it to me once daily, give it to me every hour, whatever the scenario is. And it's saving again. Like I know virtual assistants maybe could do this, but even they would find this tedious to have to do these kind of things that repetitively over and over again. And they would probably make mistakes as well and miss things because there's just so much data out there.
But this is the funny part, because again, we're not completely removing the virtual assistants or the graphic designers or whichever case of the profession may be.
Sure.
Keeping the virtual assistants on, we're just going to task the virtual assistants to learn how to speak a little bit better in terms of prompting. And instead of having the virtual assistant call 4 different places to get 4 different PDFs, put them side by side, and then run an analysis on them, you can now tell the machine to automatically do it digitally, compile all the information, and present it to you, virtual assistant, in a way that you can take to your boss, and the decisions are accelerated immensely. This is the potential in AI. We're just accelerating the process. And even with the visuals that we just discussed a moment before, the magnificent thing about working well with the prompts and the AI is that you can give it inspiration sources. You can give it certain tones of images to replicate after. And this is the potential that it augments the power of a graphic designer in this case, which I have been for a long time. And the more I get into playing with AI, the more I find that there's actually a relief, not a compression. There's actually a relief because I can create so much more quality work again in a fraction of the timeline. So predictive analysis and strategic decision making is now given the opportunity to run basically at as fast as the human brain can think and in real time, instead of having to wait sometimes days for information to flow back and forth.
That's right, yeah. And we're talking about predictive analytics here, right? So it's predicting opportunities that are coming up. So if, for example, you had something you were kind of hinting in your mind that maybe I'm noticing something, you can ask AI to go up and find it, and it'll come back, and it might bring back 3 opportunities that you kind of knew were there, but the third one you hadn't even thought of, and you can now bring that to the table. This just, again, just highlights the ideas that strategic decision-making can be improved by having AI in your brand's presence. So think about how that can work for your business and your brand. Now, we touched on this before, automated content creation. So AI tools now these days can automate the creation of compelling content. The keyword is compelling, by the way, not just content. It includes copywriting and visual assets. So this is not only accelerates the content production process, but also ensures consistency and quality freeing up human resources for more strategic and creative tasks. So we're not saying get rid of the humans in this process. What we're saying is that it starts the process and gets to a certain point where then we come in and take over and do the finishing touches or take it to the direction we need it to go because it's done the foundations. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. What you just said. And I found myself doing these things. I produce a number of visual content, but there is still a lot of fine tuning that I can do. Now, that fine tuning has been mostly done by the machine, but again, that empowers me to create more content and ability to take more work and deliver at a quicker rate. With the copywriting, for example, which is I think it's the closest point of contact to most people learning about AI. Everybody's learned about ChatGPT these days. It's like Google all over. At some point, it's going to become a verb or something of the sort. But it's in everybody's presence. We are aware of ChatGPT. The problem with using ChatGPT is that we're very poor order givers at this point, and any instruction that we give it point blank. We don't spend the time to educate the machine to instruct it on, again, our brand foundations, the values, the tone of voice, the type of wording that we use, the audience that we want to speak to. All of these things are doing something that is called priming the machine to understand better both sides of how that message needs to be computed and spit out. This is where the secret lies in the future, the way I look at it.
No, I agree with you. And we have touched on this earlier that, if you want to have good employees or you want to have your consumer react to your brand in a certain way, then you have to have those values in place, those kind of foundational things that make your brand your brand. And if you don't give that into, like in this case, ChatGPT, if you just said, give me a paragraph on blah, it'll do that. But
it'll do that.
Paragraph will be vanilla.
It's going to be dry, cut, and factual. It won't have the intonation. It won't have the sort of verbiage that you and your brand are regularly making. So that's a perfect analogy. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, but if you said to it, we're fun, energetic, likable, and our name of our company is blah, then I guarantee that paragraph will be more personalized to you and your style because you've given it the company name and you've given it the kind of feeling you want it to have when the text comes back. Okay, so and we can go further and further and deeper into that, but that's just a good example. Yeah. So next on, sentiment analysis for reputation management. So AI sentiment analysis tools can monitor online conversations to gauge public sentiment about your brand. Your brand can be proactively addressing those issues, responding to customer feedback, and manage their online reputation effectively, fostering that trust and credibility. So like I touched on earlier, I mean, I work in social media with a number of my clients, and I just can't read every message that goes out and back and comments and things like that. But what I would love AI to do, and this is what I do use it for, is if there's flags, triggers, certain keywords get mentioned or things get said, bring those ones to the surface so that I can act on those ones first, because they're the more urgent ones or more relevant to the brand's response requirements or whatever the case is. And that's what I find is really, really powerful about AI, in the sense of, in the past, I get 100 messages and then I have to read all of them, right? Where now I can maybe only have to read 3 of them because the other 97 were spam or were not urgent ones. They were just general comments, not something specific to the campaign we're running or the thing we're doing. So the key here is also fostering trust and credibility. So if I could get my clients to understand many times that the responsiveness to a inquiry is done in that 24 hours or even 5 minutes is an actual real thing. If you could do it in quickly as 5 minutes, you will get a higher response rate and an ongoing loyalty from that person than if you just never get back to them at all. Like you're then leaving it in their hands to trust that they're going to remember you to come back. But I know from my own personal experience, if someone responds to me quickly, acts on it, I get that response, then I move on to the next thing. But I always remember them as my next thing. Like I get a good response from them. I'm going to go to them first. So think about how that works. But reputation these days is absolutely crucial because we're all online and we do the Google search first before we go doing whatever we have to do. And if that reputation looks good, then it's the AI to keep it good. So keep that in mind. Okay, so we're moving on to the last few slides here where we're talking about competitive edge and innovation. So AI can automatically detect, analyze visual elements associated with brands such as logos and across various platforms. This capability allows the brand to monitor their visual presence, ensuring consistent and positive representation across any diverse channels. I think we might have said that earlier, but look, let's think about this, competitive edge and innovation. If you're keeping on top of what's going on in the world, and you are looking at what's happening and you're seeing it and you're actually, like we're talking about today, embracing it and going with it, you've got that opportunity to have that competitive edge with anybody who's choosing not to, because those that choose not to may not be understanding the relevancy or the things that are going on or some kind of change that your brand's consumer or whoever buys into your brand's ethics and missions and visions and all those kind of things, they go, hang on, that's happened yesterday and they're doing it today. Wow, that's amazing. And they're really on it. So they seem switched on. Again, if your brand is act like you're 100 years old, then maybe this is not the right approach for you. Maybe think about staying back there in the 100 years ago. But if you're a brand that needs to be innovative and running with things, then this is a great way to use AI to keep on top of it.
And again, I think the final sentence there that Chris mentioned will describe a very small minority. If you are, and if you are a true vintage brand, then you have your audience and they appreciate that you remain vintage. The fact that you choose to not embrace and include AI is actually going to work for you. So that's also a good thing. It's not all negative by not staying up to date with the competitiveness and speed of things as they move forward. However, you're going to be more niche and niche, like a vintagey taste to your brand. Nevertheless, the opportunity is here, and more people will compete at that level. That's what we want to get to.
I agree. With that is, but even if you are a vintage brand, there's a lot of those other slides we talked about before. You could still use them to.
They apply absolutely.
To make your life easier by some of those repetitive tasks that you have to do, or even that because it is so niche, you would find ways to make sure that you're finding your niche. Like, so you don't go out and find broad data, you find the niche data. There are very, very many reasons why vintage would still want to use AI for what they do. So scalability and efficiency. So AI systems can handle repetitive and time-consuming tasks with high efficiency, allowing brands to scale their operations with a linear increase in resources. So this effectively is, this efficiency is particularly valuable for managing large-scale marketing campaigns and customer interactions. So I agree that, if you're a big brand, AI is a no-brainer when it comes to some things that you need to do. But even if you're a small business, there are just, like we touched on, there's a client we're working on at the moment where you had to do the posters, and like you did the original 7 posters, but then those posters had to be put into 10 different size formats. So a 7 poster project became a 70, 70 of them, right? So it wasn't just, a small project. It ended up becoming quite, time consuming. Now, if we'd used AI to do some of this stuff and we had set up the templates, okay, the initial investment might take a fair bit, but the next campaign, we'd just go, here's the original 7, do the same as last time, but adapt to these sizes.
Which works better in terms of longevity and scale, because you still needed to walk the designer through the process of adapting one design to seven different formats, and each one of those 7 to their 10 other multipliers. If you do that to AI, you're going to spend a lot less in the long run teaching it to do it. Once it gets the gist of it and it starts repeating, your job is just to make sure that everything is on point. You're still present. It's just you're literally crushing the entire timeline of production for that AI. However, the component of teaching is still there. And this is what we want to emphasize over and over again.
That's right. Yeah. All right, so moving on to adaptability and emerging technology. So as this technology evolves, AI can adapt and integrate with the emerging technologies such as augmented reality, AR, virtual reality, VR, and voice-activated interfaces. This adaptability ensures the brand can stay relevant and innovative as the rapidly changing digital landscape occurs. So what we're saying really here is that, again, like we touched on earlier, it's just adapting. It's saying like there's emerging technologies that it does really, really well. It can grow with them because it's growing with them, because it's kind of like, I know you and I know this because we're in our generation. We haven't quite become our grandparents yet where we're going, back in my day, but we do notice that there is definitely a generational gap between where we were brought up and what's happening now with certain people. And there are people right now that have only ever known a mobile phone or social media. Like that's all they know, right? None of them. That is the generation now that's coming through. Is they don't know any different. Where we at least were kids of the 80s and we knew what that was all about, and being outdoors and not having an internet or a place to call mum and dad. You had to kind of physically ride home or send a courier pigeon, whatever the case was. But that's what I'm getting at right now, is that AI is like that. It's growing up with these technologies. So it's going to emerge with them. It's going to find ways to adapt to them a lot quicker than us as humans that are still kind of trying to learn this technology as we go. So I find that really, really interesting about how it goes about it. All right. So in summary, integrating AI into brand management strategies empowers your brand. Sorry, this is a coffee cup moment. So integrating the AI into brand management strategies empowers brands to be more data-driven centric and customer-centric and adaptive. This combination of automation, analytics, and personalization makes AI a valuable tool for enhancing brand visibility, engagement, and obviously determines a long-term success. Again, we're not saying you have to embrace it for everything you do, but I think you should look at ways your brand at the moment can use parts of what AI is doing really, really well and work out where it fits your business. Again, same things we talk about when it comes to branding is you don't have to be doing everything, but do what you do well and show up consistently doing it, and then you'll be noticed. And I think that's where we're saying with AI, because one of its strengths is doing things in repetitive ways and consistent ways, or as we said, shit in, shit out. If you put good stuff in, you'll generally get good stuff back from the data to know how to make better decisions. And then as the human element comes in, you decide what's good, what's bad, and what you want to do with that. And you just, embrace it.
Absolutely. I've mentioned this a couple of times today. Like, we're still at the top of the mountain of decision making. We're going to have to lead that process. The good thing is that if we notice, we are at the forefront of this revolution that we're just about to experience fully. Many people still haven't gotten in touch with AI, and they're already suffering because they're not keeping up with it. The problem with that is that ignorance will not be bliss, and they will be suffering the business repercussions of not understanding AI or having at least one or two people or processes in their business that doesn't systemize and scale at the speed that is required. So the challenge ahead for us humans is to become better prompt engineers. With that comes the opportunity that we've been discussing about today. Back in 2007, I took a job in Barcelona, and at the time, I myself failed to see the magnitude of social media. And I remember joking with a colleague who sat close to me, can you imagine in a few years from now if there would be positions created for people to just manage content in social media platforms? Ha ha ha. Well, little did I know. Today, I want to remind you that my ignorance back then leaves an open door for the same question to be asked today. Consider having one AI savvy person in your organization, even if for testing purposes, because a good prompt engineer will likely save your business a lot of heartache. So that's what I'll leave it at.
Yeah. So look, again, guys, if you have taken on board what we've talked about today and you're still lost and still not sure where it fits into your brand and how AI can help it, we'd love you to book a discovery session. So let us better understand your business and assess the state of your brand, your goals, and where your brand needs to be. Go to Branding on Note Agency, go to Brand Guardianship and book us in. Let's have a session with you and talk about it. Why would you do it? Well, here's how it works. We have a brand guardianship. It's as simple as 1, 2, 3. We do the discovery call. We better understand your business, understand your goals, and we look at where your brand needs to be. And from that, we select a program because we understand one size doesn't fit all. And together we determine the best program that meets your goals and put a plan in place. Once the plan's in place, we're going to do an onboarding and coaching session where we implement the plan with regular meetings, and you're assigned a brand guardian to stay focused on amplifying your brand. So if that's of interest to you and you want to reach out to us, please book in a discovery session and let us better understand your brand, assess the state of your brand and your goals, and let's get your brand where it needs to be. So again, everyone, thank you for being here today. It's been fun exploring something that is really, really trending out there and people are quite scared of or embracing it, whichever party you're in. Hopefully you've eased your mind on either way you go about it. But if you still want to know more about it, please, we'd love to know more about what your thoughts are on it. Please comment on today's session. I'll hand it over to Sim. Actually, you love doing this bit. So what should they do, Sim?
Yes, and let us know where you are watching this from and which platform. Thank you, and we'll catch you guys on the next one.
No worries. Thanks, guys. Been a great week. Take care.